Hello friends, this is Cold Run. Welcome back to Final Fantasy XIV Endwalker. We are here in the Charlene Hamlet in Labyrinthos in the Central Circuit, ready to continue on with the side quests that present here. First, a couple things. One is a question about the PvP rewards. Is that there are some... I've been doing some crystalline conflict, not a lot, just, a little bit, and it's been pretty fun. But there's no chance I'm gonna get like all this stuff. Is this totally time locked? Like if I don't complete this series, which I almost certainly won't, unless my mood really changes. If I don't complete this series by, let's say I don't get the Archfiend attire coffer or the false shaded spectacles or these framers kits by the time this series is over, will I still have a chance to get them later? Like, will I be able to spend the equivalent of, like, I don't know, PvP Poetics or whatever? I assume I don't know if trophy crystals are permanent or what, but will I be able to get them later at some point? Or is it really just they go away after this season? Also, minion time. Who do we get? Wind Up Kefka, our old friend from Final Fantasy VI, who was one of the more evil villains in the series. Let's see. Very interesting path for Kefka, too. Just for anyone who hasn't played 6 but doesn't mind a minor spoiler. Because he's the big bad of 6. Like, that's... I don't consider that a spoiler at this point, almost, basically. But, like, he doesn't start out as the big bad. His path is really interesting. He starts out as just, like, a side character. Not a side character, but as, like, a goofy number 2. And his ascent in that game is really fantastic stuff. Okay, Wind Up Kefka. Just can't believe it? Believe it. That must be a reference to 6, but I don't remember that line from him. Other than a vague claim by Y'shtola that the doll you discovered in Omega's Sigmascape seems eerily familiar, none of your companions can recall ever hearing of a wicked jester known as Kefka, be it in children's books, in history books, or children's tales. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have an appointment with Kefka, Lock Cole. Yeah, Lock Cole was like the thief with a heart of gold from Final Fantasy VI. Extremely good character. Very good character. Okay, Fiola. Also, I wonder what you're going to do. I wonder what your little thing is. Going to try to stab me in the back, or just going to float there like a weird little jester demon thing? Oh, that's kind of a... So he just kind of, like, laughs uproariously and rolls on his back. He literally R's O-F-L. Fiola, seeing red. Fiola seeks those in possession of both a green thumb and a penchant for punishing plants. Oh my, the ways of Thaliak are as mysterious as they are providential. To think a woman so robust as you would appear to be before me in my hour of need. If this is not divine intervention, I know not what it is. What is? I keep thinking about the role of Thaliak and in Ishgard Halone. They almost seem less like gods that are prayed to, and more like... less like gods in the sense I usually think of it, and more like a patron saint sort of thing. So not someone that you pray to as far as having power over you, but someone that you almost look to and maybe hope might give you a boost in an area or two. Not someone that you like worship in the same way as like a Christian or a Muslim or a Jew might worship, God. It feels very different from that. Sorry, Fiola. I face a trial for which I am not equal, nor shall ever be. It involves the capture of my most feared nemesis. Tomatoes. You see, I can barely speak the vile beast's name without my gorge rising. They're really a fan of the phrase gorge rising, aren't they? You would do well to consider my offer, truly. I have money set aside, quite a bit of it, in fact. By the way, I do agree with the comment that Rack, but let me just make sure I'm reading this right. But in response to the gorge rising thing from the last session, yeah, I agree with what Rack said, which is that you can somehow like get a gorge rising by looking at like a huge meal, like it's just too much for you and gets you, yeah, it gets overwhelming. So I think I agree with that. Or you do well to consider my offer, truly. I have money set aside, quite a bit of it, in fact. All you need to do is capture one of those vile vegetables. You'll find them near Mariel Agronomics, and they're quite hard to miss, disgusting things that they are. You really hate tomatoes, don't you? I don't know a lot of people who feel that way about tomatoes. They're so common in the US, at least, as far as, like... I know people who feel that way about broccoli, about Brussels sprouts, both of which I personally love, but I think it's a little bit unusual to feel that way about... There's nothing wrong with it. Totally fine. It's just tomatoes are so common, at least in the US, that it is unusual. Okay, we captured the stray tomato after accidentally killing it and having to wait for it to respawn because I forgot what type of quest this was. Let's see what we got here. Tomato-filled burlap sack. You can feel how the sentient tomato struggles to escape its confines. Luckily, this sack muffles its piercing screams. This is a dark quest, Jesus. Fiola. Well, were you able to capture one of those terrible tomatoes? Like, even, not just the taste of them, just even the thought of a tomato makes your gorge rise, as they say in this world. Pardon me, even in this sack I cannot stomach the wretches, but better in than out, I suppose. At least it won't get its disastrously painful juices into anyone's eyes. Oh, maybe you had a bad experience, like you were eating a tomato and like it squirted in your eyes and the acid really hurt. You must be curious as to why tomatoes maddened into violence were running amok. Well, the truth is, a gleaner had sowed a congeries of vegetable seed. Congeries? Congeries? I guess that's a term for a group of vegetable seeds. I'd never heard that before. Awesome. To cultivate on the plantation, and a few of these vermin managed to slip in unnoticed. The soil was exceptionally fertile by the looks of it, because the creatures proliferated with alarming ease, more so than anyone could have possibly guessed. Yeah, so like little vegetable infiltrators. And to provide this tale with an even stranger twist, the juices they squirted into my eyes had a salubrious effect. Oh. I no longer have need of my glasses? I can see with perfect clarity now. Oh, okay. Okay, though I was in a great deal of pain, mind you. Well, when life gives you tomatoes, make eye juice? That is a gross... that's one of the grosser sentences. The phrase eye juice. No, that hasn't a very pithy ring to it. Any rate, your services have been most helpful. I will begin my research as soon as I am back in the laboratory. And before I forget, your reward. So, should I go squirt tomato juice into my eye? Will that help me get my eyesight? Probably not. I'll still have to wear glasses. And likely have to, I don't know, visit a doctor afterwards, because that sounds like it would hurt. Elemental Reactor Operator. The case of the missing Gleaner. The reactor operator is wearing a most impatient look. Excuse me, but can I trouble you for a moment? I'm looking for someone, you see, and I was hoping you might help. Who gleans the gleaners? Yeah, I guess. Yeah. I was due to receive a pair of beasts captured in St. Mosian's Arboretum, but the gleaner who's meant to make the delivery has yet to appear, and I've grown rather tired of waiting. I've tried reaching him via link pearl, but no avail. I'm tempted to go out and search for him myself, but what if he arrives and I'm not here? So, would you be willing to find said gleaner for me? Absolutely. Thank you. He ought to be relatively easy to spot, I should think, considering he's traveling with 2 mud-covered seedkin. Yeah, he would stand out then. Search west of here first. I'll check around here, just to make sure he's not rounding the corner or some such. Should you find him before I do, hurry back here, will you? In chat, who can kill you faster, Booba Tree or Snake Boy? Booba. Okay. I'm guessing Booba Tree is maybe the name of is the nickname for... Why must we choose? Oh, this community. I'm guessing it's the name for, like, one of those S ranks or something. We have found the Seedkin Gleaner near the reactor here. You look like you're in rough shape. Oh, they're so cute. Look at their little beaks. What happened to you, friend? It's cracking Kefka over there up. Seedkin Gleaner. Ah, thank goodness you're here. Probasa caught me by surprise. Gave me a nasty shock, but what are you doing all the way out here? Looking for you, my friend. Ah, of course. I suppose all the waiting would make anyone rather nervous. I'll give my apologies to the operator when I deliver these specimens. As for the specimens themselves, well, let's just say I'm rather surprised they're still in one piece, despite being bathed in lightning. Their Earth alignment probably saved them, come to think of it. How did they get bathed in lightning? Was the reactor... Because that purple is like the color of lightning in 14, so maybe the reactor went off around them? Or maybe the proboscis shoot lightning. That seems more likely, actually. Oh, look at its bouncy little legs. At any rate, thank you, kind stranger. I doubt I'd still be among the living if not for your aid. Right then, I'd better get going. Don't want to keep the operator waiting any longer than he already has. Granted, for an injured... When someone's on the brink of death, someone who's literally called a Reaper is probably not the first person they want to see. But I must have used my sage skills well. Elemental Reactor Operator. Ah, there you are. I was wondering when I would see you again. The Gleaner told me everything that happened, how you got him out of a tight spot. I mean, not really. He took care of business. I was just helping him at the very end. I was giving some, like... I think get the sense that when I aided him at the end, it was just, like, patching up some wounds rather than, like, really saving him. He seems to have escaped largely unscathed, but the chirurgeons are giving him the thorough inspection just in case. You may not know this, but they're actually a variety of corpora. Only these happen to be smeared in a unique type of mud originating from the Arboretum. No, I'm very familiar with that type of mud. With, like... I'm not saying it's a special type of mud. I think it was meant to be sort of poopish. But, no, I remember the Arboretum. Judging by the look on your face, you already know of this species, don't you? Yes, something tells me you're quite intimate with the Arboretum. Isn't it just a wonderful place? Again, would I have gotten this dialogue if I hadn't done the St. Mosian's Arboretum, like, different dungeons? Because those were optional, right? You must be wondering why I required these muddy little things. Well, I had a theory that their Earth alignment might prove to be of use in the amplification of said element. I had not expected such an unfortunate accident would come of my curiosity, though. Well, we're none the worse for wear, so perhaps not that unfortunate. The Gleaner's still alive and kicking, and the samples made it safely here, all thanks to you, of course. All's well that ends well, yes? I guess, yeah. And I think the Gleaner just takes it as a matter of course. Like, Gleaner's just kind of used to that sort of thing. Okay, let's continue with the main story quest, which in this case is basically side stories. No job too small. Gather information in the Charlean Hamlet. Alright, so who are we talking to here? There, Steady Current. It's a Rogaden name, if I've ever heard one. Helping with the Ark. Even with all the power Master Kokol's managed to squeeze out of the ether burner, it's still not enough, apparently. And now I hear the final days have arrived. Horrible creatures running rampant all over. If only we'd begun the exodus sooner. I don't think you could have. I don't think people would have been on board. Like, literally, I don't think they would have joined the Ark, like, if they hadn't seen the final days with their own eyes. People are dying, and there'll be no end to it if we don't fulfill our duties. But we will. We've spent years preparing for this moment. Believe in the plan, and all will be well. Let's talk to you again. If the ether burner isn't up to snuff, we'll have to begin the exodus sooner than planned, so we can make as many trips as possible. Might fail to meet the projected targets, too. If so, we'll be faced with some hard choices about what to leave behind. And who. Yeah, that's not choices I would want to make. Hopefully it's a culture that supports good choices. It seems like it is. It seems like it is. Silken Grin. I thought that would be that's an interesting name for someone who's not a Rogaden. Oh, hello. Are you one of the new helpers? Oh, working on the ether burner, you say? Oh dear, I hear things have come to a standstill on that front. Even so, I'd choose that over my current duties. Checking and loading samples day in, day out. It's tiring, thankless work. Still, no one will be cross if I misplace a few legumes or what have you. The forum's got enough on their plate as is, with deciding who gets to board the Ark and when. A lot of powerful people have opinions about that. My heart goes out to Master Fortuno and the others. Hardly get a moment's rest, I expect. Do they even have time to sleep? Probably not. It's a heavy burden. Poltazan. Offering to help. That's very kind, but I should be able to organize the rest of the documents myself. It's mostly lists of the things we'll need once we arrive on the moon, and then whichever star we choose as our new home. My duties largely concern the maintenance of living conditions, so I'll be a lot busier after we depart. Taking this very matter of fact, like, yeah, it'll be busy once we leave the planet and have to resettle our entire civilization on a new one. Yep, that's when my to-do list will really start to rack up items. I hear that our lunar collaborators have come down to assist in our efforts. By the way, I don't see that as a fault of the game. It's more like, because these people have lived with this knowledge for a while, so they're used to it. It's just me coming into this. It's strange. I hear that our lunar collaborators come to assist our efforts. I'm looking forward to finally meeting them in person after having communicated with them in such a limited capacity thus far. To be perfectly honest, I've not even the slightest idea what they look like. I do hope they're not enormous looming giants. Why, I would much prefer something small and fluffy, like that beheaded rabbit that ran by. You will be a happy camper. Come to think of it, rabbits don't normally wear hats, do they? Or run on their back paws? Huh, maybe it was an escaped sample. I guess I'm going to keep this secret for now. This is, by the way, I like this mount a lot. This is the White Mage mount, I think? The Unicorn? I kind of wish that other jobs got mounts of their own. I wonder why White Mage is unique in that. Like, other jobs should get level 30, cool level 30 mounts. Ah, yes, everyone's here. Cookingway. Crikey, I wasn't expecting to see you here, mate. I'm sorry. No, that's not at all its accent. That's no one's accent. I'm sorry I didn't have a chance to say goodbye, and for having those other lopporits attack you. Terrible misunderstanding, that. It's okay, it happens. It's Final Fantasy. Half of our party betrays the other half for good reasons, and we all make up afterwards. Just ask Urianger. Not to worry, though, as all have since recovered from the rather savage beating you administered. They bear you no ill will. Well, perhaps a little on account of the savagery, but time heals all wounds, most anyway. Hey, you were the ones who attacked me. You better not bear ill will. Cookingway. How marvelous to see you again. You'll be pleased to hear what I've learned. I've learned much since our fascinating discussion at the Caratorium. It's all thanks to Urianger. He's taught me the finer points of cooking, which, despite my name, I knew very little about. So many dishes, so many hard-to-pronounce words. Actually, I was rather hoping he'd show me how to bake an Archon loaf. They're quite popular, I hear, though it doesn't sound like it contains any flavor to speak of. Why do you want to learn how to bake an Archon loaf? That's like a legendarily boring food. Still, if that's the sort of thing your kind enjoys, I shall make enough to last the whole journey. I think we will be eating rabbits before everyone survives on Archon loaf. Singingway. What joy to sample the delights of Aetheris. Yeah, this is like a dream come true for you. Urianger. 'Twould appear the lopporits have infiltrated Charlene's most heavily guarded facility. How, I know not. They have bunny magic. Livingway. Fancy meeting you here, Kakushu. Our friends in the forum brought us to see their teeny tiny toy boat, which was quite impressive considering they didn't use any creation magics. Their teeny tiny toy boat. God, you must annoy the shit out of Fortuno. Like, he's not used to being condescended to. What we're really interested in is Aetheris itself, though. We now find ourselves in a funny, underground, miniaturized version of it. Yes. We were hoping the forum would give us a guided tour, but it appears they're rather preoccupied. Honestly, all that time to prepare and they're still not ready. Hey, you weren't ready either. You had thousands of years. And I don't blame you, but, don't get on them. I suppose we'll just have to show ourselves around. Or at least, that's what we're planning to do until we chanced upon Urianger and your good self. Since you're both dawdling about, engaging in idle chit-chat, I was doing important side quests. Perhaps you could show us a few points of interest. Won't that be fun? Yeah, sure. I am happy to do that for you. If you're too busy to show us the sights, we'll find other ways to keep ourselves amused, don't you worry. No, I'm not too busy for you, Livingway. Urianger, wise guides. Wise guides, okay. It took me a second to get that pun. Try as he might, Urianger cannot free himself of the lopporits. He's trying? He doesn't like the lopporits? A core of Labyrinthos? An unexpected yet prudent suggestion. Given the similarities betwixt this artificial environment and Bestway's burrow, 'twould be in our best interests to have the lopporits acquaint themselves with those conditions deemed optimal by their Charlian collaborators. I fear, however, that continued reliance upon my limited knowledge would risk narrowing rather than broadening their perspectives. Mayhap thou art better suited to lead this venture? I've done that same trick when you don't want to do something and you're like, hey, you're really more of an expert than me. Why don't you do this task? Cookingway, what a marvelous idea. Might we begin with that great big what's-it over yonder? I'm an expert. Oh, I'm an expert in what's-it. That gear thing? Oriange, yes, the what's-it. I shall leave its explanations to Kakushu. Nice job, Oriange. What actually is this again? This is one of the... This is the Logisticon, right? Or maybe you're not talking about that particular what's-it? Maybe it's a different what's-it. Cookingway, I don't remember any of their voices. This is all very intriguing, I'm sure, but where are the food preparation stations? The, what's the word for it? Kitchens. That reminds me, Puddingway, our newly appointed chef of pudding research, a discipline he founded himself after sampling Oriange's delights, has gone in search of Etheris's ultimate sweet treat. Well, provided it's a pudding, as that's all he ever talks about these days. Have you seen him? Yes, I have. I've helped him find the pudding. Growingway. My word, what magnificent architecture! Such immaculate curvature! I'll have to make several adjustments to my work if I'm to match this degree of craftsmanship. I shall leave no corner unrounded. It does have a certain round quality to it. Livingway. Considering Singingway and Growingway's specialties, I expect them to pay full attention to your explanations, which I am sure will be most informative. Oriange. The lopporits' technical expertise doth far outstrip our own. We would be wise to allow them to form their own conclusions as to the function of the various apparatus, rather than offer uninformed suppositions of our own. Unless that is unbeknownst to me, thou art possessed of surpassing knowledge concerning the construction and operation of advanced Charlium. What's-its? I am not. I could BS my way through it, but I don't think that would help anyone. Singingway, goodness me! To build something so large without creation magics is positively stupendous. Perhaps you could direct our attention to its most important features. Oh, is this going to be like a telescope thing? Yeah. Search the apparatus. Okay. Alright, clearly it's the thing at the top that jumps out at me first. You have to zoom into it, maybe? Ah, okay. It's a metallic tube. Is that water I hear from inside that great big tube? It must be because of those cogs and gigantic wheel at the top. Oh, that's how they draw up the water. There's probably some sort of spiral-shaped mechanism inside it, too. Oh, that would make sense. Yeah. Tanks. Singingway. So a little hard to see from here, but is that a golden pipe connected to the top of those tanks? I could see through that window another pipe at the bottom. This must be for purifying water drawn up from below. Yeah, that would make sense. What about that thing? Not important. Maybe that in there? No. What about you? Adventurous ambystoma. You spot an ambystoma, an especially lively one at that. It would appear that the concept you observed in another time, another place, was approved for life in the wider world. Somehow. Oh, that's right! I was wondering where we saw these, because we just saw it in the regular zone, but that regular zone was, you know, like from a little... It wasn't just the neighborhood next door. That's super cool. What a nice touch. Okay, something about that wheel? No, I guess not. Is it the pipe? Mushroom-like thing. Oh. Yeah, this looks like a water tower. Singing Way. That looks like the trees in Greatest Endsvale. Hold on, that one's a bit of a strange shape. It's thin at the bottom, but big and round at the top. Quite tall for something so unbalanced, too. Now it makes sense. That's where they store the water. Yeah, it's like a water tower in the real world, too. Well, if I were to hazard a guess, water drawn from underground, presumably with some other mechanism, is purified here and stored in that tower before being distributed elsewhere. These lopporits are sharp as hell. I'm right, aren't I? Probably. I knew it. A design brilliant in its simplicity. I dare say I would take only a moment to install in even the harshest of environments. For us lopporits, that is. Living Way. Indeed. Securing a reliable source of water is of utmost importance to any fledgling settlement. Singing Way. We have read, however, that the peoples of Aethera sometimes make their homes in arid deserts and such. How are they able to survive? I do not know. Many... Oh, yeah, okay. Waterfalls, oasis, yeah. Many settlements in Thanalan are built near an oasis. I'll go with that just because my character is from that area. So wherever you choose to live, you're never far from water. Growing Away. Oh dear, I worry we won't be able to procure the necessary amount, but you can make it, right? We can provide enough water to keep them from drying out completely, but it would appear they rely on it far more than we'd anticipated. That's a big oversight. A few adjustments may be in order once we've calculated the average rate of consumption per individual. It also may be worth learning more about how exactly they obtain their water in the first place. Urianger. Master Alphino spoke of the machinery responsible for that feat during our journey through Logisticon Alpha, did he not? Mayhap the lopporits will share his appreciation for the engineering marvel. Singing Way. Oh yes, that sounds absolutely splendid, so we're returning to Logisticon Alpha. We must journey beyond the sanctuary of the Charlian Hamlet. I shall lead the way. Growing Way. You mean we'll have to brave the untamed wilderness? You've survived on the moon. You'll be fine. Living Way. A valid concern. We could not help but notice the many dangerous-looking creatures with big, nasty teeth lurking beyond the safe confines of the settlements will protect you. Were we not escorted here by burly custodians, I dread to think what would have become of us. Urianger. Regrettably, to many a hungry predator with the aforementioned big nasty teeth, lopporits may appear to be a potential and rather appetizing source of sustenance. They're so cute, and their little animations are just A+. Might I impose upon thee to securing safe passage to Logisticon Alpha? For my part, I shall act as escort to Living Way and Cookingway. I entrust Singing Way and Growing Way to thy care. Absolutely. I'm honored. A more valiant protector they could not wish for. Godspeed. Singing Way. If it's all the same to you, I'd rather not be eaten by some horrid beastie. Well, treat me nicely, and I will not let you be eaten. Come along, Growing Way, to the water extraction, what's it? Singing Way. Perhaps you could tell the local beasties we're not nearly as delicious as we might appear. That would be a lie. I think you probably taste incredible. Growing Way. I have a feeling the way forward is not as clear as we'd like. Could you go and take a look? Absolutely. Let's go discourage these beasts from what would undoubtedly be a delicious meal. Ah, the infamous burning Inala. Oh. No problem at all. I say, that fiend had a mind to feast on roasted lopporit. Growing Way. Thank you much. I really hope this water extraction Watson is worth these harrowing experiences. All part of the fun, some might say, but I'd rather not be burnt to a crisp if it's all the same to you. Yeah, you'd be... I wonder what the best way to eat a lopperit would be. Toasted, grilled, baked lopperit. I'll bet baked lopperit would be pretty savory. We are at Logisticon Alpha. Whoop, I didn't mean to talk to you. But, okay. My friends, I bid you welcome to Logisticon Alpha. Our destination doth lie at the lift's top. Pray, follow me. We are pray following. Growing way. That was terrifying, but at least the scenery was more pleasant than was named Garlemald. At the first impression of Aetheris, it was far from favorable. Oh yeah, they've had some rough times there. Anyway, onwards and upwards, quite literally as is the case here. Living way. As I understand, places like Labyrinthos are the exception rather than the rule. You don't all build enormous underground living spaces like this, surely? No, we do not. Cookingway. Forgive me for asking, but are we any closer to the kitchens? Come to think of it, why am I even here? Atmospheric manipulators are hardly my area of expertise. Yeah, you should be at the, what's it called? The last drop, the last temptation, the last something in Charlie in that restaurant. Singing way. Marvelous, simply marvelous. So this is where the magic, or science rather, takes place. The perfect environment to sustain life, artificially created. The knowledge we'll gain here will be essential when we start looking for new stars for your kind to inhabit. Apparently, most of them don't even have air for you to breathe. You're all very lucky that Aetheris just so happens to provide everything you need to thrive. Or did mankind turn out the way they are because of the available resources, I wonder? It's a little bit of each. Either way, it's nothing short of miraculous, and I cannot wait to see more of it. Okay. So right now I'm on my Reaper because my Reaper is level 88 and my Sage is already 89. I don't know what job I'm going to do for when it's time to pick a role for. So Dark Knight clearly for the tank, but I wonder what job I'm going to do when it's time for a physical range DPS. Probably leaning towards Dancer. I like Dancer a lot. Urianjay. On this occasion, 'twould behoove us to seek the counsel of those qualified to describe the workings of this apparatus. They may also be in possession of schematics or other useful documentation, should the lopporits request them. As the forum's esteemed guests, 'tis unlikely they would be refused, yet thou knowest as well as I the changeable positions of Charlian bureaucrats. Yeah, but I don't think they're going to refuse this. Okay. Cookingway. Agriculture shock. You haven't eaten carrots for a while, have you? I hope you're okay. Cookingway is eager for a change of venue, or at the very least a change of what's it. This is all very wonderful, I'm sure, but I was rather hoping to learn more about your nourishment provision facilities. In other words, where's the food? Urianjay, I believe both the knowledge and consumables you seek may be found at Merial Agronomics. As I imagine Singingway and the others intend to study every conceivable facet of this apparatus, as I imagine they want to study it, wouldst thou be so kind as to escort our visiting culinarian? Cookingway, yes, that sounds much more interesting. Hopefully I'll be able to see firsthand some of the delicacies Urianjay was telling me about. Even his incredibly vivid, if a bit too verbose, oh man, even the lopporits are roasting you, descriptions cannot compare to sampling them myself. Not to mention Aetheris will soon be no more, so I must learn all I can while there is still time. Let us brook no further delay. Alright, I'll see you later. Cookingway. This is the place, yes? The heady aroma was enough to guide me here, and I've spotted several of the fruit and vegetables featured in our compendium. I'd dearly love to try some, but I read that those who help themselves to a farmer's crops without permission are often caught and put into pies, especially if they look as delicious as you. Perhaps you could ask whoever's in charge if they would be willing to part with a few samples. Yeah, absolutely. See, are there places to go to stop and talk? Not really. Cookingway. I suppose if they did put me in a pie, I could just eat my way out. Wait, they get quite hot inside, don't they? On second thought, let's stick to the plan for now. Luckily, you won't have to be worried. You'll be dead long before that you actually realize the heat. I don't think they... I mean, they cook rabbits. I don't think they cook rabbits alive. Jebki. Oh, what a fine mess this is. What's that? Ah, it's you. The one who climbed down the mine shaft. I'd show you around if I could, but I'm rushed off my feet preparing for the exodus. And I'm not the only one. We've all got to find ways to do what we... do down here up there. First on the moon, then on whichever star the forum decides will become our new home. It's all so sudden, so unreal. I'm glad you feel that way. Don't you want to go... Cookingway, don't you want to go to the moon? Jibki, well, it's better than waiting for the final days to claim us, but no matter how carefully it's all planned, we'll never be able to take every variety of flora and fauna with us. Even the ones we can take might not survive the new environment. Yeah, that's a good point. That's going to be incredibly tough. I'll bet there's very few that will survive. So many species doomed to extinction. Sorry, that's not what you came here to talk about, is it? Cookingway, nothing quite so dire, I assure you. We merely wish to sample a little of your produce, if we may. Jebki, by all means, help yourself. Cookingway, much appreciated, my good fellow. So, where to begin? Where to begin? Oh, there's a thing over there. Okay, what are these? Just some greens? Cookingway. Oh, I know what these are. Grapes, yes? Yeah, but they're not as legendary as they were before. They were... You should have seen them before. They were unusual. Let's see if they are as delicious as they look. So sweet, so sour. The taste is much like a ripe philosopher's carrot, and yet the texture is entirely different. The contrast between the outer skin and the fruit within is most particular, though far from unpleasant. Yes, I think I'll try another. I'll leave some over, but I'm glad you like them. I like grapes too. Well, that certainly gives me food for thought, but in a far less visceral manner than any philosopher's carrot. Tell me, what's your opinion of grapes? I'd brave an erupting volcano for a choice bunch. Meh or ghastly things, I'd rather eat rancid gigantoid eyeballs. I think I'll go with... God, I feel like none of these. I think they're good, but I wouldn't... Let's go with enthusiasm. Yes, they are rather Moorish, aren't they? Moorish? And from what I've read, quite versatile, too. Something about people stepping on them to make intoxicating beverages, as I recall. Yes. Anyway, that's enough about grapes for the time being. On to the next treat. I wonder if we'll ever see drunk lopporits. That would be a treat. So what kind of tree is this? Orange by name, orange by nature. On the... I guess? What came first, the fruit or the color? Who cares? Let's eat. I'm Googling this. So it seems like the fruit came first. It seems like the color, before someone referred to the fruit as oranges, the color was just called like yellowish red and different variations. The fruit came first. That's super cool. If the random article on a website I'd never heard of called LitHub is correct. Okay. And, oh, but it mentions the House of Orange, which is the royal family in the Netherlands, but that word orange doesn't come from the fruit or the color. It comes from a region in France, southwest France, known as Orange. Okay. Anyway. What do you think of oranges? Yes, it's... equal parts sweet and sour, as with the grapes, yet nothing alike. I may have to consult Orianger about expanding my vocabulary. I simply cannot find the words to describe it. Perhaps what I'm looking for is bitter. This is all very complicated, you know. So many flavors, so many choices, and each individual with their own personal preferences. Now I see why you all turned your nose up at the idea of eating nothing but carrots. Marvelous though they still are in my estimation, let no one say I said otherwise. Ah, speaking of carrots, I've yet to sample any of the vegetables. Let's see what's in that field over there. I wonder if we're actually going to give him, like, meat, too. If we're going to have Cookingway try, like, a steak. That seems unlikely. I don't think rabbits would really like steak. I presume that lopporits are herbivores. Okay. What is this, pumpkins? That color, that texture. Are they some sort of enormous round carrots? No, in any case, proper nomenclature is less of a concern than the taste. If they are pumpkins, don't you have to cook them? Can you eat raw pumpkin? Blech, so hard and flavorless. I may as well be chewing a piece of wood. That all but confirms it. These are nothing more than misbegotten failures masquerading as goodly carrots. Delois, stop! Can't you see these are pumpkins? And no one with any sense would try eating them raw. You're supposed to cook them first. Cookingway, do you not find it an awful bother? I do. Delois, far from it. Cooking is a joy unto itself. Wait, are you the disgruntled chef? No, you're not. Never mind. And what's more, it broadens the range of ingredients that we may safely eat. But above all else, cooking allows us to draw out the full potential of our produce. Pumpkin stew has been one of my favorite dishes for as long as I can remember. Cookingway, then perhaps even these hard blocks of plant matter can become as delicious as the orange I sampled. I wonder, though, is there anything even more delicious? Ooh, what about that yellow fruit over yonder? What fruit are you seeing? Is this a lemon or a golden apple? Probably a lemon. I feel like we're about to get some hijinks of someone tasting a lemon, just biting into it, and not enjoying it, the experience. What a wondrous fragrance. With luck, it'll have a flavor to match. As if I have no idea how these are eaten, I'll just bite into it. Yeah, that's right. My tongue, is this poison? Yes. Yes, it is. A lemon? You mean it's supposed to taste like this? How could something so similar to an orange be so revolting? It's meant to be used in smaller doses. It may be some time before my palate recovers from this ordeal. As such, I had best call an end to this round of sampling. Let's say our farewells and return to the others. You probably should have asked for advice on the best way to eat them, but I guess you're just used to eating stuff raw. Jebke. Finished, have you? I trust you found something to your liking? Cookingway, I'm rather enamored with the grapes and oranges. Less so the pumpkin, though I learned the hard way that they're not to be eaten raw. Then there was lemon. The deceiver. The deceiver. I still feel so violated. It's funny, I remember being deceived by beets once. I assumed as a kid that it was cranberry sauce, like canned cranberry sauce, and it was beets. And now I utterly love beets, but at the time I felt the same way. I felt I was deceived. Not as bad as when I thought wasabi was pistachio ice cream, but that's another thing. Ha! First time, was it? I'd hate for you to leave with a bad taste in your mouth in more ways than one, so I'll give you this lemon muffin I baked. If this doesn't change your opinion, nothing will. Cookingway, more lemon? Have I not suffered enough? Nevertheless, it would be remiss of me to spurn this opportunity to... bit of sickness came up there. Learn more of your inscrutable ways. Very well, lemon muffin, do your worst. Oh god, this is a good section. This is delicious. Oh, you've learned the value of pastries. Excellent. The little face rub. Although I still detect a hint of lemon, it complements the sweetness of the dough to create a perfect harmony. Yeah, that's what it's for. I never would have guessed its vile bitterness could be utilized so elegantly. My good chap, this is simply breathtaking. Jebke, see? We rarely use lemon in its natural state, but it has a starring role in all sorts of recipes, and the same is true for many other ingredients. It comes down to making the most of the resources at our disposal, and Sometimes that can even be the difference between life and death. Well said. I know we won't be able to take every species with us. No doubt the Forum agonized over what was worth preserving, and what will be consigned to history. Hard choices, but make them we must if we are to survive. Cookingway. Such strength of will. Now I know what Heidelin sees in your kind. It's quite a statement. On the backs of lemon muffins. Mankind, the lopporits, we were both born from the accumulated knowledge of the ancients. They learned all there is to learn about the nature of sentient life and the fates of the stars themselves. Once a civilization has fulfilled a basic requirement for survival, it will inevitably seek to eliminate all forms of negativity and achieve perfection. Yeah, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Cookingway does, and therein lies its folly and its downfall. For perfection is an unattainable ideal. 'Tis the paradox of the immaculate carrot. The what? But I think as long as that's not your only goal, as long as you understand that there is no possible perfection, and you keep trying to improve things, I think that's okay. Yet civilizations since time immemorial have deemed the pursuit of perfection as progress. They pay no heed to the costs incurred in their futile quest, and all too often become the architects of their own demise, their dreams forever unfulfilled. What then is the alternative? The answer lies in knowing that our existence can never be perfect, to be content with what we have and make the most of it. Yeah, but making the most of it is seeking, it's not seeking perfection, but I don't know, I have a hard time with this idea. And I know that this is going to be one of the themes that it's not going to be, it's one of the themes already that the game has been exploring, but I have a hard time discerning the difference between striving for perfection and trying to improve while accepting what you have. I guess it's just a matter of perspective. You could have the same actions in one context be striving for perfection and in a destructive way, and the others be trying to improve in a productive way. When life gives you lemons, make lemon muffins. Like, in this case, why wouldn't you just be happy with... Like, isn't making lemon muffins striving for a perfection that wasn't there? Like, wouldn't being happy with what you have just be a matter of just taking the lemons and just dealing with it, just developing a taste for it raw? Like, it's hard for me to see the difference there, but again, I think it's a matter of perspective rather than action. Pardon my Orsian, but what in the seven hells are you on about? And who are you anyway? Oh, fair question, Jebki. Cookingway at your service. I'm here to help prepare us for the trip to the moon. And once you get there, you'll be able to try my carrots. I've been growing all different kinds. That's right, you're meeting an alien for the first time, Jebki, and you didn't even know it. But don't worry, there'll be room for your crops too. We'll work together to preserve as many of Aetherius' species as possible if you're up to the challenge. Jebki, yes, of course. I look forward to it. I guess it's not shocking because he knew that there were aliens around out here. Well, this has been highly productive. Probably. Let's go and see if Urian J and the others have run out of machinery to inspect, shall we? I too found this more interesting than the machinery. I just got it. Culture shock, agriculture shock. Again, I'm kind of slow on the uptake sometimes. I didn't get that until just now. Growing way. Oh, there you are. Ah, have the others finished talking about rain-making watsits? Yes, they have. Hopefully. Living way. Where have you and Cookingway been? If the two of you were engaged in pursuits of an educational nature, you should have taken me too. I am the leader after all. You were doing your own educational thing. Singing way. Not to rub it in, but we had the most fantastic time when you were away. Urian J was able to obtain all manner of meteorological data for us to pore over. I'll be sure to put my newfound knowledge to good use once we return to the moon. It's my duty to make your journey as comfortable as possible, though there's no telling how long it will be. 100 years? 1,000? Probably closer to 5,000, give or take. Holy Christ, I guess you're right. I mean, going to another star is no small business. Orion J. By Cookingway's broad grin, I assume your excursion was a roaring success. It was. Cookingway. That was most entertaining, especially the part with the lemon muffin. I'm glad. It sounds like it was a real wake-up call for you. Actually, I was wondering, do you know any other places famed for their cuisine? Kind of everywhere. Limsa Limimsa is home to the Culinarians Guild and many less than savory establishments. The Far East has oodles of noodles. I think let's go with the Far East, because you're getting a taste of the West already. Let's go with the Far East. Would that I had time to visit. The more I learn of Aetheris, the more I wish we could spare it from the final days. Well, you're trying to help us do that, right? Alas, Hydaelyn's orders are to flee, not to resist. If only there was some other way. Hopefully there will be. Which we'll find out next time. So thanks for watching. See you all later. Bye-bye.